Here's a question. Can a sunburn make you a more serious president? Donald Trump frequently wears red ties like this one. He calls it a power tie. And in his Art of the Deal series, he tells readers he switched to red ties in the 90s because they're more serious and gave him a, quote, competitive edge, which kind of makes sense to me in a pop psychology way. Like, did you know in Taekwondo, fighters are randomly assigned either blue or red armor? And even though the process is entirely random, the fighter assigned red is statistically likely to win that match more often. The red armor gives the fighter a winning advantage when all other variables are equal, and scientists aren't really sure why. Nature, 2005, red enhances human performance in contests. So why not wear a red tie if it gives a subtle advantage, right? But recently, my mind made a peculiar observation. It noticed quite a few political men appeared to get physically redder as they got more popular, or they got more popular after they got physically redder. Trump is the obvious example of this. His orange-red skin complexion was a running gag during his presidency. But he didn't always look like that, and this video may explain why he does today. Here's Donald Trump in 1987 talking with Larry King. He looks pale, but actually the skin complexion we would expect for a white guy living in New York City where it snows half the year. Here he is 15 years later, looking more tan and more red. 2005 was around the second or third season of the television show The Apprentice. And another 10 years after that, he looks deeply red. I would say distinctly red. John Boehner is another example. He started his congressional career as an average skin tone on the Fitzpatrick scale. However, ever since holding the Speaker of the House position, he looks, and has looked since I can remember, like a fried tomato. Even Tucker Carlson is looking more and more red. The difference is more noticeable when we compare him to 2016 Tucker, when he first started Fox, to today. Now, I'm sure part of this change in skin tone can be explained by the fact that rich people like to live in Florida. That provides them with a tan. That and consuming alcohol over many years can deepen the redness in your skin. However, as far as I'm aware, neither Tucker nor Donald Trump consume alcohol. And that continual redness that increases year after year, to me doesn't look so much like someone who likes to take long vacations on pearl-filled beaches, but a deliberate aesthetic look. But why? Why look red all the time? Maybe they know a secret we don't. Or maybe their subconscious knows a secret that even they don't know. Does physically making yourself more red have the same effect as a red tie? Do redder skinned men trick us into perceiving them as more serious and more competent than their fair-skinned contemporaries? How deep does the red conspiracy go? Well, the answer is, surprisingly, yes. And there's evidence to back this up. In 2011, two brilliant doctors, Dr. Stephen and Dr. Oldman, published a terrific academic research paper on evolutionary psychology called Redness Enhances Perceived Aggression, Dominance, and Attractiveness in Men's Faces. Am I more attractive now? They played around with manipulating human skin tones. Why anyone would choose to do this? I have no idea. But I'm glad they did, because the study revealed the more red we physically make a face, the more we perceive it as dominant. The study broke down facial redness into 3 points along a continuum. A little red added to the face tended to be considered most attractive, a moderate amount most dominant, and deeply red as aggressive. As participants shifted the hue of a face more or less red, their perceived dominance of that face increased or decreased. Do I look more aggressive? What about now? Dr. Oldman writes in his paper, "We have shown that increased redness, while holding lightness and yellowness constant, enhances the appearance of dominance, aggression, and attractiveness in men's faces viewed by female participants. Participants increased redness more to maximize aggressiveness than dominance, and more to maximize dominance than attractiveness." Why would this matter? Well, imagine someone who works in the public sphere, and their job depends on their speech being heard and their ideas taken seriously. Say, a talk show host, or a politician. Their job depends on what the public and their peers think of them. And for males particularly, appearing more dominant and more competent than the person sitting next to him can give him a competitive advantage. This taste or intuitive disposition for redder skin complexes is seen in our biological cousins too. TLDR, we see this exact same thing play out in the wild. For example, facial redness is associated with higher testosterone and a higher dominance ranking order in a social hierarchy for non-human primates like rhesus macaques. Now, I would be remiss to point out this study was small. It only involved about 50 people, and all of them women. So how cultures outside the US and how men may perceive redness could be different from this study. Nonetheless, I think it's an interesting observation and seems to back up prior research like this paper by the Public Library of Sciences. So after all the jokes, I wonder who's getting the last laugh. Maybe we should take skin complexion more seriously. If manufacturing a deeper, redder skin tone can play on my evolutionary psychology, even when I might consciously find something odd, my subconscious is telling me to pay attention and take Tucker Carlson or Donald Trump more seriously than the person they're standing next to, that's a competitive edge. So maybe a sunburn can make you a more popular president, at least more than you otherwise would have been.
Have a good life.
If you're interested in reading deeper into the studies, I've included the links down below. Finally, you can support this channel on Patreon. Every patron counts, and you get a direct access dialogue to me. I only need 10 more patrons. We can do it. I love you guys. Like, subscribe. See you in the next video. Bye. Yay, post-mortem video analysis. Of course, I realize there are other reasons why these subjects might be read that have nothing to do with them trying to be dominant or assertive. One of them being they're just taking a peptide like BPC 157. Yeah, I know things. I know there being the camera lens and lighting, but I discounted them, these other reasons, because I wanted to talk about the science behind how we perceive redness. But now it's time for the Patreon question of the day. If you subscribe to Patreon, you can ask me questions and I'll answer them on this video. This patron asks, why do I always talk about conservative leaders? Why do I seem to focus on them? That's a good question. The answer is, I think I talk about conservative thinkers the most because that's who I'm watching. And I watch them because I find more value in watching people I disagree with. When people say things that I don't agree with, it forces me to reflect more on my own beliefs and my own worldview and see how that lines up. Rather than just listening to people I already agree with, I don't get as much value out of that. So the people I talk about the most are the people I'm consuming, and the people I'm consuming are actually the people I don't agree with. It's kind of an inverse correlation. I don't know if other people are like that or just kind of a quirk of my own personality. Let me know if you guys are like that. But yeah, the people I'm prone to talking to the most are the people that are on my radar. The people on my radar are often the people I disagree with because I'm trying to learn or trying to get a new perspective, rather than just watching people give opinions that I already align with. That doesn't force me to reflect as much. Thank you for the question. See you guys over in Patreon. Bye.